Major funding for this Read 180 workshop is provided by the National Science Foundation, America's investment in the future.
Intel Corporation is a proud supporter of PBS. The Intel Innovation in Education Initiative provides teachers with the resources to inspire their students and encourage them to unlock their potential.
At Jif Peanut Butter, we know just how choosy you are when it comes to your family, including the shows you value most. Public television encourages kids' curiosity and love of learning, and Jif is proud to support Cyberchase on behalf of all choosy moms and dads.
And by a ready-to-learn television cooperative agreement from the U.S. Department of Education through the Public Broadcasting Service.
And by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. This program was also made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to Workshop 9, The Streets of Harlem. Music, politics, sports, fashion. For nearly a century, Harlem has been the capital of African American culture, attracting painters, poets, musicians, politicians, dreamers, schemers, and just plain folks from across the country and around the world. First, you'll read an article about the birth of Harlem. Then you'll find out about Harlem from two of the writers who know it best. You'll read a memoir about growing up in Harlem from a famous author who lived there as a boy. And 3 poems by a great American poet who found inspiration in Harlem. In the video story, you'll learn more about the Harlem Renaissance, a period of time when Harlem was an important center of American art and culture. Reading 1, Heartbeat of Harlem. In the early 1900s, 1.5 million African Americans moved from the rural South to the cities of the North. They hoped to escape discrimination and poverty. Thousands of these people settled in the New York City neighborhood known as Harlem. Among them were famous black artists, writers, and musicians. This non-fiction article will show you how, by the 1920s, Harlem had become such an important center for the arts that this period in the neighborhood's history is now known as the Harlem Renaissance. Reading 2, Bad Boy. Walter Dean Myers grew up in Harlem during the 1940s and 50s. By the time he was in the 5th grade, he'd figured out he loved to write. Since then, Walter has written lots of books about kids' lives today. But this story is about Walter's life when he was growing up in Harlem. Like most city kids, he and his friends played in the streets. Games like Scully, played with bottle caps, and stickball, like baseball, with a broom handle instead of a bat, and street sewers instead of bases. You'll read more about Walter's experiences in this excerpt from his book, Bad Boy. Reading 3, Langston Hughes's Harlem. Langston Hughes, the most famous poet of the Harlem Renaissance, lived in Harlem most of his life and often wrote about it. Like in Jukebox Love Song, when he turns the sights and sounds of Harlem into a love song. But Hughes also wrote about frustrations faced by blacks in America. In both Harlem 2 and Dreams, Hughes writes about what happens when people's dreams are deferred or put off, perhaps forever. The work of Langston Hughes has inspired many other poets. One of them is Victor Cherry, a young poet who lives and writes in Harlem today. Here, Victor gives his own interpretation of 3 of Langston's poems. Jukebox Love Song by Langston Hughes.
I can take the Harlem night and wrap around you. Take the neon lights and make a crown. Take the Lenox Avenue buses, taxis, subways, and for your love song, tone their rumble down. Take Harlem's heartbeat, Make a drum beat, put it on a record, let it whirl. And while we listen till it play, dance with you till day. Dance with you, my sweet brown Harlem girl.
Harlem 2 by Langston Hughes.
What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode?
Dreams by Langston Hughes.
Hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams, for when dreams go, life is a barren field, frozen with snow.
And now for a taste of the music and the magic, the juice and the jazz, the boogie and the beat that define the Harlem Renaissance. A walk through Harlem.
In the 1920s, black artists made Harlem the capital of cool. This New York City community produced an amazing decade of music, literature, and art. A period called the Harlem Renaissance. It began with the writer and scholar W.E.B. Du Bois, who founded The Crisis, a magazine devoted to black issues. Du Bois wanted talented African-American artists to show the world what they could do. He inspired great writers like Zora Neale Hurston and Langston Hughes, who led an explosion of black literature. Soon, Harlem's library and the YMCA a few doors down were regular meeting places for the new literary stars, attracting writers from all over the country. Black painters and sculptors created a sensation too. Aaron Douglas painted the giant murals inside the Harlem Library. Richmond Barthé sculpted black faces and bodies. Most Americans had never seen artwork by African Americans. Now it was all the rage. The Harlem Renaissance was also about music and clubs and dancing. Duke Ellington played jazz, Bessie Smith sang the blues, and everyone who wanted to swing took the express train to 125th Street in Harlem. The Harlem Renaissance made black culture a part of American culture, and it turned Harlem into a place African Americans could call home. Langston Hughes wrote about it in his poem, Heart of Harlem.
The buildings in Harlem are brick and stone, and the streets are long and wide. But Harlem's much more than these alone. Harlem is what's inside.